What is your daily routine? Do you have one?
Yeah, I usually get up around noon and write sometimes till 8.
Just straight through?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll spend the whole day in there.
Huh.
Noon to midnight, just writing.
At this point, you're working on something about a Suriname, isn't it?
Yeah, it has 2 parallel stories, 1880 and 1980. But I'm getting more and more into the period part of it.
Did you ever done anything like that?
No, never. I'd never done anything that required research before. I spent a lot of time doing that. This is a country nobody knows where it is or what it is. It's on the northern coast of South America, one of the Guyanas. But, people think it's in Asia. They think they speak Spanish there. They don't know anything about it.
What is the language?
Dutch. That's the colonial language, anyway. But the population is almost half Hindustani.
Huh. When did they come in?
Around the 1870s as contract workers. Also Chinese, Javanese.
Interesting.
Their only resource is bauxite.
Bauxite.
And huge tracts of undeveloped jungle, which they haven't yet chosen to bulldoze to graze cattle. Other than the coast, there's very little development in the interior.
Have you been there?
No, never.
You've been in South America.
To Peru and to Venezuela.
When was that?
Frida and I were going to go, but since nobody goes where the airfare is $600, so I went to Haiti instead, which was cheaper.
Did you tour the baseball
probably
factory?
less interesting.
Did you tour the baseball factory while you were there?
We stayed at the resort. We went one day up to Cape at one end of the island, and one day we went to Port-au-Prince. But it was so depressing that we left immediately with headaches.
How long ago was it?
1980, I guess.
When did you have your surgery? Was that 83?
Yeah, April 1983? Or 82, God, I can't remember. Yeah, it was just before my 33rd birthday, that's right.
You mentioned having driven across the country 53 times?
No, only 23 times.
23 times. 23 round trips.
Yeah.
And the fastest was in?
52 hours.
What other cities did you live in the country?
Philadelphia, Los Angeles. I was in Seattle for 6 months, does that count?
Sure.
San Francisco. And of course, Portland.
Why Portland?
Because I went to school here and I always liked it.
You went to read?
And I'd been back a couple of times to visit. And it's just about the right speed for a city. They're starting to fuck up the downtown, like everywhere else, but it's still just about the right speed.
Did you graduate from Reed?
No, I did a 2-year stretch. And that was my last education. I hated school from day one. From kindergarten on, I hated it.
Did you go through public schools?
No, the best private education.
But of course. Which schools did you go to? Famous,
The famous Dalton School in Manhattan, where the beautiful Brooke Adams also went. Those poor bees, they can't get into that hummingbird. They know there's sugar in there, but they just can't get at it. Riverdale High School. Carly Simon went there. That was a strange... it wanted to be a New England prep school, except it had almost all day students who were mostly Jewish. And still they went through the ritual of having sort of non-denominational Protestant chapel. We sang "A Mighty Fortress Is Our God," stuff like that. And there were all these rich Jewish kids there. It was sort of like Horace Mann.
So
Fieldston,
You
they
grew
were
up-
all in the same place.
you grew up in Manhattan?
Right across from the Natural History Museum. On West 81st Street. And left kind of just in time. Just as the city became insane and unlivable.
Yeah, I must have been there
Around
roughly.
1974 or 5, that's when I left. Or actually 76, and went to Philadelphia with Frida.
What's Philadelphia like?
I'm curious, it's very large. It used to be the second largest city in America. But all those jokes have a certain germ of truth. There's just sort of something dead about it. There are all these distinguished people from there, but they always leave. All these great black musicians, they're always somewhere else. They're from there, but they never stay. It's a very racist city. The most racist place I've ever spent any time in.
That's
It's just in the air everywhere you go.
Frida's family's from Philly.
Her brother worked in a bar, and one of his colleague bartenders, a black guy, he used to walk this white waitress home because it was late. 3, 4 in the morning, so he'd walk her home so she'd be safe. They were walking down Chestnut Street in the middle of downtown. A police car pulled over behind them, and they kept walking, and he heard the hammer cock on the pistol. And they just kept walking, nothing was said. That's the kind of town it is. We lived in Manioc.
Manioc.
It's Indian, it means place where we went to drink, which looked like some kind of 1920s George Orwell industrial town. So I really liked it there, actually, that particular neighborhood. I didn't much care for the city.
Was that before or after Reed?
Oh, that was 1976, well after.
When did you go to Reed? What years was that?
68 to 70.
So you basically graduated high school in 68?
Yeah.
Okay.
I worked, I'm afraid to say, for B. Dalton. I mean, they're one of the chains that are just destroying the business. It's not nearly as pernicious. Well, they ran it like all their other stores, which are in shopping malls. We keep trying to explain that it's the city, you're in the center of downtown. Why aren't these car repair manuals moving? I just didn't get it.
You worked at a racetrack for a while, too, didn't you?
Miles Park, now gone, in Louisville. They had night racing. The worst. Nerved horses who ran 40 times a year, stuff like that. There was broken legs at least once a week. But it was fun.
How'd you end up in Louisville?
Through the late Chick Anderson, who was a friend of my father's. He got me the job.
What'd you do?
Oh, worked in the press box.
Uh-huh.
I was just a general gopher type. Wrote some publicity stuff.
Did you ever work with writing that much aside from that, or have you stuck pretty much to
I did
just
movie
leave it
reviews
out?
for a living for a while. Not much of a living for a trade paper in this New York City. In 72, I got to see everything. In nice, comfortable screening rooms where you could smoke. And Rex Reed would show up with cum in his hair.
How did you know it was coming?
Oh, I didn't. It just looked that way.
But your writing's primarily been aimed at fiction.
Oh, yeah.
Have you always...
I've been tempted to try the other, but never, I don't know. It's not private enough. The last thing I did before the surgery was go with my friend Chuck out there to a survivalist convention in Los Angeles. And he took pictures and I wrote a piece about it along the spec, which we never sold, and I sort of liked it. I might have gotten into it. I mean, that was certainly a fascinating subject.
It showed up in your fiction. On the other hand, you got people like Ben Didion and John Gregory Dunn, and if you read their nonfiction as that goes along, and then you pick up their novels, it's basically rehashing it.
Their journalism was a lot better. True Confession was okay, I liked it. Yeah, I think her journalism was a lot better than her fiction. I thought Slouching Towards Bethlehem was pretty impressive. People even offered me things, journalism things, which I just turned down. because I just didn't feel prepared to do it, either because I wasn't familiar enough with the subject or I just didn't feel right, so I didn't do it. Bob Christgau offered me a couple of things. I guess when he was first starting out at The Voice, because I knew him from Cal Arts, from Cal.
Did you go to Calvin's?
Gives me a tea now, I just hung around.
Sure.
Took their money at the poker table.
You play poker.
I'm a very good poker player. I don't play anymore though.
Where'd you learn to play poker?
At college, it's one of the few things I learned.
I actually know.
Sex, cards, drinking, things like that.
Yeah, the basics.
Yeah, they played table stakes. I'm reading a lot of 19th century stuff. I'm reading Mark Twain.
Well, is fiction writing something you pretty much just found your own way to do?
It was just something I could do, like be good at golf. I always loved to read from the moment I learned how. Well, I guess it was sort of emulation. I did it in school, in high school. There were long periods when I didn't do any at all. But I always knew that was what I would end up doing. Because it was the only serious thing that I could really do well. And nothing else, particularly interested in. But I wanted to learn how to do it. Lots of different, done. But they were just, to get through to the next point. I never had a career. I inherited money from my grandparents.
Did you know your grandparents?
On my mother's side, inherited the money, yeah. They were both dead by 1940. But that's really what made all that stuff possible. For me not to have jobs when I didn't feel like having to travel around and live where I wanted to, how I wanted. I was very careful. I parceled out that $40,000 because I planned to keep going on it for a while. It took me a lot of time to use it. I bought that car with me. $2,000 cash. It's all mine. It's a good partner. Which I later drove into the woods and broke out some teeth. Edward Wilson's definitive work over the sex society and the good gust attack. It's like an 800-page text book. I read sociobiology cover to cover, another textbook. It was quite interesting.
Do you feel a sense of connectedness with your dad's father and your dad's work as a writer?
I never read any of my grandfather's stuff for years and years. I had a certain hostility towards it. He wasn't very much of a father to my father. One day I picked up one of his books of I was kind of in somebody else's house in Woodstock. So I thought, this guy was really good. There was some real snappy stuff in there. But God, I was in my early 20s.
You ever talked to him?
What, about his writing? Actually, a lot about him as a person, but not his work. Much.
You're an only child, and your dad.
And so is my mother. I don't think it's a bad deal at all. Well, in my case, at least, I learned how to be by myself, which seems to be a skill that most people don't have. It seems to be a real problem. Yeah, my dad and my grandfather never wrote fiction.
There's still
Well, my grandfather did 2 novels that were failures. But my dad was an actor. He made very little money. And the idea of somebody plunging their head into a television. And the idea of writing about television, that's all I have. It's like feeling your way down a hallway or something. I mean, obviously, the more material you get, the more shape there is. Things become clearer, but it's Joyce Carol Oates claims that she gets a whole book in her head and then sits down and just transcribes. That seems just unbelievable. This new thing I'm working on, I have a couple of ideas for things that are ahead, but it's mostly just as I go along. One idea will click another, but I don't know what it's going to end up, how it will end up.
Do you have the sense that the more writing you actually do, the more control you have what you're doing?
Oh, definitely. Control is real important. I read a couple of William Kennedy's books recently, and I thought he had real admirable control over it. There weren't. It looks like a movie. I really admire a movie where there aren't any mistakes.
Like what?
Oh, let's see. Body Heat has only one mistake.
Which one?
Oh, just a shot that it doesn't belong, doesn't work. It's a long, sort of arty overhead shot of that guy's office. And if you cut that out, there aren't any mistakes. On the other hand, I like big, messy books that are full of mistakes and need editing and sometimes make you want to skip, but take a lot of risks that aren't, gem-like. Maybe that's what this new book will be, a big mess.
Sounds good.
Long. It's going to be long.
The books I find that I don't care for are the ones that where within about the first few pages you know the guy or woman's gone through University of Iowa and has written short stories and is now writing novels. There's kind of a tone and a smell to them.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Raymond Carver read-alike types.
He's one of my real pet peeves.
And there are one or two early stories they had.
All of that sort of minimalist stuff. I just can't be bothered with it at all. And you're right, you can tell right away. I don't know quite what the giveaways are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't like them at all.
See, if I had my brothers,
He's a big favorite of my editors. Well, I guess people will think Inner Tube is bleak, but I think that minimalist stuff is a lot more bleak. It's just bloodless and drained and colorful. What could be more bleak than that?
Well, I think in Inner Tube,
In my book, all sorts of shit happens. People have violent and perhaps unpleasant emotions, but it's not that.
How long do you think the character is alive in the book? I mean, is it a matter of months? Because I had by the time I got to the ending, I had the feeling that, maybe months or a year may have passed, but that everything is headed toward that ending. And I didn't have the feeling that the book was so much bleak as it becomes more and more crystalline and glass clear, and the guy.
Well, as I was groping along, putting, patching all of those chapters together, because I had no idea what sequence I would put them in. I just knew that I was heading for a whiteout. And that's all I knew. That was my guiding principle. It wasn't until I was quite near the end by the time I decided what sequence they were going to go.
Mm. So it's conceivable you could shuffle that book in a different
like hopscotch? Yeah, I thought of that. But Cortázar had already done it. You can't do it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Do you have favorite passages in it?
Yeah, I have chapters that I like a lot better than others.
Mm-hmm.
And there are others that other people respond to that, to me, are just sort of, wheel spinning, getting to the next one. So, a lot of the times the stuff that you like best are for, private reasons that other people are just not going to respond to. And it might have nothing to do with how the actual words. There are a couple of chapters in there that, I wrote 5 and 6 times that I like, just because I put so much effort into them.
Do you do a lot of rewriting?
Well, with this new production method, I sort of do it as I go along. I go back up to the top and start